Hello, today we're going to go to lecture notes and do the first short course, which I will open here, and also download the corresponding zip file that I will then put in a folder using the instruction or the recommended location on the instruction, which is on the C drive in a temporary folder that I'm going to name the New Jersey Raritan. Once I have unzipped this file, I have it on the recommended folder as indicated in the instructions. So once I have put the file in this folder, I'm now going to open ArcGIS Pro. And when I open, I'm going to navigate to the New Jersey Raritan GIS folder, and I will bring those files in my project. So following the recommended instruction, I'm going to create a map, and then the location, I'm going to choose this to be in that temporary folder from which I choose the New Jersey Raritan folder. And I'm going to give it a name of my project 1. When I do this, it's going to create that new folder with the project. Then I'm going to go to the watershed and shapefile. Note that this has a projection, PRG file. So I take the shapefile, move it in my map. Now I'm displaying the watersheds in the Raritan River area. I will right-click and open symbology, and I will display those values using unique value based on their name. So I can see all the names populated for each of those watersheds. I can use a scheme that's a little less colorful. And then I can go to the river shapefile. Notice this one is missing the projection. I take the shapefile and bring it in this project as well. Then I'm going to display the shapefile using lines, and I change the property of those lines, or I could choose them to be a different shade of blue, for example. When I apply this, but there was a warning saying fine. So following the instruction, I go to analysis, and I'm going to define the missing coordinate. So to see the coordinate, you click on map, right click, and go to properties, and then coordinate system. And when we look at the coordinate system, we see that we have layers that have different coordinate system. If I click on the NAD 83 state plane coordinate system, I see that the watershed shapefile has that coordinate system, but one of them is unknown, the river. Since they're projecting on top of the other, I know that the river has the same coordinate system as the watershed, so I'm going to define a coordinate system for the rivers. And the way I do this is going to analysis, opening the tools, and then I'm going to define a projection. So look for define projection. I select that tool. And when I select that tool, it's going to tell me what is the input data set. The input data set are the rivers. And the coordinate that I'm going to use is the same as that of the 83 state plane for New Jersey. When I run this function, it's creating a projection. And now if I go and right click on properties, I can see that when looking at the layers, both of them are assigned a coordinate. I'm now going to add a table. I will add a table of station location. This table gets added to my project. I can open that table. When I open the table, I can see that it has a site ID, and for each of the latitude, I can then add the nutrient data. When I open that table, I see that it has a site ID, and for each site ID, month, year, date, we have two values of interest, including phosphorus in milligram per liter. But we are missing the longitude and latitude. We add them by doing a join. So we go and do a join. We add a join. And you will say that onto nutrient, based on their site ID, we want to join the field of the location shapefile based also on site ID. When I do this, I have additional column, site ID, latitude, and longitude that are added. An optional step is to create a database. So you right click, go to data, and export the table. And we're going to go to our temporary folder, New Jersey Raritan, and we're going to export a database. So when I do this, in my case, I'd already done it, so I'm going to override that file. And once that file is exported, I create a file that's the database. I can right click and open it in Excel. When I do that, I have an Excel file that's that information. From that Excel file, I can save it in any format that I want. For example, I could save it as a text file that's tab separated. And when I save this file, I can then create a file that's tab separated, which when I open using Notepad, gives me the information as a text file. I can close those. Those were optional steps. So now I want to display the longitude, latitude, and for each of those, what the corresponding phosphorus concentration, so I can see what phosphorus is like across the state. So in this case, I no longer need and therefore remove the database and go back to the nutrient data with its join so that I can now display its XY data. The information is pre-populated correctly. That is that I'm going to display the information in that table using X as longitude, Y as latitude. However, the coordinate system needs to be NAD 83. So I'm going to go in coordinate. I'm going to say that those longitude, latitude are NAD 83. The way I find NAD 83 is scrolling to geographic coordinate system, then down to North America, and in North America, selecting US, and in US, NAD 83. Once that's correctly selected, I can click on OK. And now each of those phosphorus concentration are displayed on the map. I can close the table. and I can see them being displayed. If I want to display them on a color scale, I can right-click on that table that was added and go to Symbology and then display with a graduated color. I can now see those value displayed, but what I want to display is not the site ID, is the phosphorus concentration in milligram per liter. When they're displayed, I can see on a color scheme what their value is. But if I want better lower and upper bounds, I can use quantile so that each color is going to be a same quantile of value. If I want to display them better, I can go on more and format all those symbols, for example, by eliminating the outline, saying we want no color on the outline. We could apply this and see that the symbols are a bit more visible. We could increase their size so we can see them better. So now we have a better representation of the concentration across the state. And if we want to display this, following the instruction, we can create a layout. To do that, we insert a new layout that's of the format of a layer. You can see there is a new tab added. And then we want to create within that tab a new frame. We only have one map, so we select it and we display where we want this to be displayed. Note that when we do this, if I zoom out or in, I'm zooming on the piece of paper. If I want to zoom in and out inside that frame, I have to activate that frame by clicking on Layout and Activate. And when I activate the frame, then when I'm zooming out, it's not the piece of paper, but the zooming out on the frame. So I can put them up in a corner. And I can, once I do this, go back to the layout and say I'm closing the activation. And then following instruction here, I'm going to change the name of the layer to simply phosphorus. So if I go to map and edit the name of that layer to simply phosphorus, I can then go back to layout and it's easier to recognize what I have. So now I can add information on the map, such as a north arrow, scale legend, and text. So I'm going to go to the layout and then add some text. So I'm going to make this a bit bigger and add some text. I'm going to display on top some text. I could, for example, write phosphorus from year 2000 to 2022. I can also add a north arrow. I can add a bar scale. I can add a legend. Once a legend is added, I can select or deselect the rivers and the sewer shed. And now I have created my first layout. What we can do now is focus on going a little further and showing the information by year. So to do that, we go back to the map and select the phosphorus layer and select by attribute data from 2000 to 2004. So we go to the map, select by attribute the phosphorus data, such that the the year be less or equal to 2004. When I apply this search, then what's highlighted are all the data between 2000 and 2004. So those are selected. And if I take that selected selection and make a layer out of it, I have a new layer that I can rename phosphorus only for the year 2000 to 2004. I can deselect. First of all, I can clear the selection and then deselect the phosphorus data. Then I can create a new tab, a new map. So we're going to create a new map. It's called map 1. And going back to our original map, I can select the phosphorus, control click for the river, the watershed, right click, copy, then go to map 1 and right click and paste those layers. Once they're pasted, what we now have are just the phosphorus 2000-2004 data. And if I go back to map, I can start again with the phosphorus data, but this time say I want the year to be greater than 2004, and then add that less or equal to 2009. So when I apply this search criterion, I have a new set of phosphorus selected. Therefore, if I right-click on phosphorus selection, I can create a new layer. And that layer I'm going to rename 2005 to 2009. And then I can create a new map. So I'm done with selection by period, and I will close that. Map 2. I go back to map, and in map, clear the selection, untoggle phosphorus. So now we only have the 2005-2009. Then we control click on rivers, watershed, right click, copy, go to map 2, right click, paste. And now we have the data 2009. So we can finish this project by inserting a new layout that is going to be called layout 1. And in that new layout, we are now going to, in that new layout, insert 3 map frames. The first map frame will be all the data like we had earlier. And in order to zoom inside, I activate that framework and maybe change a little bit the zoom. And now what we're going to do, which is new, is that we're going to go to layout, close the activation, so that we can then insert another map frame that will be a small little inset that I'll place in an inset where I will display the data for map frame from map 1. I will activate that frame, zoom out a little bit. And this is just the 2004 data. And once I'm done with the activation, I go to Analysis, Layout, close the activation. And then I'm going to add yet a new layout. So I go to Layout. And I no longer need to activate it, so I can click somewhere else. Layout, I'm going to insert a third map frame, and this one being the data from 2005 to 2009. I'm going to add below here. I'm going to activate that frame, zoom out to something similar as what's shown above. And that's the data from the later years. When I'm done, I can go to Layout, close the activation, and then I can add some text. So I'm going to go to Layout and then insert some text. So I can say that the main frame has the phosphorus data for 2000 to 2022. And then I can add text in the inset saying that here the data is from 2000 to 2004. And then I can add further text in the next inset to say that there the data is from 2005 to 2009. And I can finish my layout by inserting a nose arrow. I can insert a scale. I can insert a legend. In that legend, I can say that I only want the phosphorus data. And when I'm done, I can save my project. And once you're done with your project, you're done with this exercise. Thank you.